Good afternoon. This is Wes Fryer, and I am at the University of North Texas today in Denton, and it is October the 26th, 2010. I inaccurately flashed back a year in my recording yesterday, and I'm actually recording this using a flip camcorder tomorrow for my Computers in the Classroom course with pre-service teachers. We're going to be using flip cameras to have a scavenger hunt activity, and today I've had an opportunity to spend most of the day with Dr. Gerald Knezik, who is a professor here at UNT in the Department of Learning Technologies, the College of Information. And it was really one of these days where my head is filled with a lot of different ideas and I'm not going to have time to write them down. And so I thought, since I have this flip cam at my disposal, I would use it to briefly share a reflection. We visited two places today. The first was Lamar Middle School, and one of the teachers who is participating in a project called Middle School Students Saving the World, and it is a science project where students are learning at school how to take data sampling, or take tests basically of the power that's called vampire power that's utilized by your appliances and different things that plug into your house, and they continue to draw power even when they're turned off. And it's part of a National Science Foundation grant that is funded, and I'll be later this semester hopefully doing some interviews back at Lamar with students as well as their teacher, and also in the end of November and early December, when I have a chance to go up to New Hampshire and Maine, hopefully going to Farmington, Maine, to do some interviews. One of the key takeaways here is it was so great to get to go meet the teacher, Tricia Owens, in advance, and just have a time to visit in her classroom and get to visit a little bit, before showing up with a camera. I made a mistake, and this would have been back in probably 2001, 2002, when I was working at Texas Tech University and helping facilitate a video conferencing project, underestimating how valuable and critical that relationship element is when we're working with folks in projects. It's not enough to just send an email. It's not enough really to even make a phone call. Nothing beats being able to be there in person, face to face, and being able to visit. And there's just so many different things you get a feel for. Great to be in her classroom. I will have a link here at below this video if you'd like to check out some photographs. I love the poster she had on the wall that said, the only cure for boredom is curiosity, or something to that effect. I'm not paraphrasing that well, but this idea that there's so much to explore in the world, and of course science classrooms are great places to do that. Any classroom that's full of learning is a good place to do that. So that was a great visit. The second visit was to the administration offices for Irving ISD, and we met with Alice Owen and Sam Farsi, who are in the technology and instructional technology departments. It is amazing what is going on in Irving, and the challenges that they face as well. We had been visiting on the way over about transient populations, and I hadn't realized that about 20 to 30% of the students in Irving ISD are mobile, so they're moving either within the district, or they're moving in or moving out. And Irving has been doing their laptop initiative for 10 years, and I'll also include some links below this video if you want to check out their website. One of the things I was most excited about was to learn about their media festival, which they had last year. If I wasn't teaching class tomorrow, I would actually try to go down. They're having a media event focused on their one-to-one project that is tied to Project Red, and a partnership, I think they said, is with eChalk. But it's an effort to help school districts that are implementing one-to-one projects have a PR event and be able to focus media attention locally and tell their story. And so they're having that opportunity for a real focus on students and student products. But about a year ago, they had, I want to say, their first media festival, and Marco Torres, those of you that know him may not be surprised, he was the catalyst and one of the inspirations, the primary inspiration for this. I love their theme. It was called My Community, My Eyes, and it was about it was about community voices, students creating videos about different things in their communities. There were a couple videos that Alice and Sam mentioned that I'm going to check out, and I'll probably link and put on the blog. I think the lessons learned here in Irving, and Dr. Knezek, along with Dr. Rhonda Christensen, has been involved in the evaluation and assessment of the laptop initiatives here in Irving and other parts of Texas since the beginning. It is so important to be documenting and sharing those lessons learned, and also focusing on high quality assessment. Of course, that may not come as a surprise to you that I'm here at a research institution working on my dissertation, championing that importance and that need. One of the things that we talked about today was the Texas Star Chart, and politically that may be a very difficult thing for someone at a Texas university to tackle in terms of looking at the actual validity and value of that instrument, because if you're not familiar with it, that is used throughout Texas as really the primary measure that the education agency looks at for technology integration. And there's really 4 different levels, and it's a self-assessment, a self-reported document. I feel very blessed to have this opportunity to be able to be here and to spend a part of the day with Dr. Knezek. We've not had our current school system of grades and students segregated by age, that long in the broad course of human history. The apprentice model of learning is still very much alive and well in universities, and it's a real blessing to have a chance to spend some time with a professor who is so knowledgeable and so gifted, and also is tied in closely with folks in the local schools at a local level as well as a national level. So I may not be articulating all of this as clearly as I might be able to, but it was a great day to have a chance not only to meet some people I hadn't met before and touch base with some that I had, but to think about these issues that we're grappling with, going back to the idea of immigrant population, and Texas is now what we would call a minority majority state. When I had lived in Lubbock for 13 years, I guess, from about 1993 until 2006, the school district was already a majority Hispanic population, and the state is headed in that direction. The challenges that we face in urban school are in some ways similar pardon me, similar to issues that are faced by all schools, but there's also some unique dynamics that are at play there. I think that the kinds of challenges and issues that Irving ISD and other one-to-one districts have faced and continue to face are going to be those stories and those lessons learned that every school is going to want to know in the coming years. Hopefully sooner rather than later, the next 5 years rather than the next 10 years. It really is silly to spend as much money as we do on paper-based textbooks and not to leverage the power and the potential of digital technologies to not only allow us to access and consume content, but to also create it and share it. And as you'll see when you visit the website for Irving ISD, there's just a lot of different initiatives that are going on. Perhaps one of the most sort of closest and dear to my heart is that idea of a media festival where they were inviting students to story chase, if you will, the stories of relatives, friends, family, community members, and then be able to celebrate those. We've got a lot of folks in our country today having trouble adjusting to change. We've got a lot of anger in our society, and we've got an abiding need to recognize the importance of coming together and working together for shared purposes. We desperately need to invest in our students and invest in education and invest in the future. It is unbelievable how much money we spend today on our military and on our defense budget. And while I am definitely an advocate for a strong defense and for a strong military, we have a need to bring some things in balance that I think have really gotten out of balance in the last decade or so. And I think we have not yet really scratched the surface of what tools like this flip camera I'm recording with today, or like my iPhone I recorded yesterday with, these kinds of tools to be able to tie our communities together, not to distance and distract us, as Nesbitt wrote in his most recent work, which is not that recent, it's a few years old, but really to humanize us, to connect us. The power of these technology tools to enable us to not just form our perceptions about the world based upon the negative coverage that we have in mainstream media press, which a lot of times is negative, but to empower the voices of people in our communities to report on issues and to share perspectives and to share solutions. I'm really excited and energized by that potential. So, wherever you happen to be watching this, I hope that you're finding ways to not only use technology in a consumptive way to take in information, watch a video like this, but also to create media yourself. And I would certainly encourage you to check out resources that we have and are going to continue to provide on our Story Chasers website that are related to digital storytelling and oral history, and just this idea of empowering individuals to be digital witnesses. It is exciting to see what is happening here in the Dallas area, and important to recognize the valuable relationships which exist and which can exist between university faculty, university institutions, K-12 schools, to do important work, which not only focuses on measuring the impact of one-to-one initiatives, but as in the case of the science initiative with Vampire Power, the bottom line is trying to work on helping get kids excited about science and oriented towards science, technology, and engineering career fields. I think there's an important role that video technology, social media can play to open up eyes and ears and hearts of students to possibilities that are out in the world career-wise. And hopefully we'll be able to work together and open more of those doors for students.